Okay, welcome to another edition. Just a couple of notes to begin with. A couple of other things that are on tap this week that may spook the markets. We know that Putin and Trump are going to be meeting tomorrow. And who knows what's going to come out of that. There's a whole bunch of earnings. Some of the bigger companies of the S&P 500 are reporting this week. We also have something else that I was concerned with. Let me think for a second. Putin, the S&P 500. Oh yeah, Powell speaking. He's going to be speaking this week in front of Congress. He's testifying. So, a couple of things that coupled with the quantitative tightening that is going to start this week and will continue till the end of the month is leading me to believe that we are not going any higher as far as the equities are concerned. We're going to start pulling back this week. We were unable last week with all the hoopla to even get beyond the little channel that's been going on over here. It's just stuck in here, right? And it's time for the next push down. Okay, so if I'm talking, if we get another 4 or 5 points higher, okay, fine, possible, but we're talking about down 100, maybe 150, even if we really roll over and hit really what I think is where the demand is sitting. It's down here, right? If I draw this a little better for you, but the downtrend, the channel underneath is over here, right? And that puts this as the next bounce. So turn over here, back down until you can see what's there. The 200 average is there. The fifth, the bottom of the Bollinger Bands are there. The demand zone is there. The up channel is there. Everything is pointing to this area, 2,700 down to like 2,675, somewhere in that range. So, 100 points down with a potential of like 4 or 5 points up maybe. So, which way do you want to trade? I can tell you, no question for me. I'm not looking for any more longs at this point. I expect we're going to be rolling over out of this area, and we're going to be pushing downwards. So, start thinking shorts this week. Okay. Let's take a look over here. We're at supply up there on the 60. It's been unable to get through for almost all day Friday. It sold off and banging around. So again, early tonight, we're not going to do anything. Could have popped through the zone, sure. I'm fairly certain that by tomorrow we're going to start to see some pressure kick into the market, and we're going to be pulling back, maybe down here. Obviously, there's a big pocket of air over here, but by the end of the week, 100 points down is likely. Because once the Fed starts turning on the faucets and they start selling, with the light volume in the summer going on anyway, there's not going to be much to stop it from going down. So be very cautious on any longs this week. Think about locking in profits and look for shorts. Okay. So I don't really have any great supplies. Those are the ones I just showed you. We're in the supply up here on the 60. There's actually one higher one. That's the daily level at like that 20. I keep coming back to. I'll point it out one more time. But that's really it for supply up here. And then, that one. Could we get up there? Sure, it's possible. Do I think so? Probably not. We're going to roll over somewhere from where we are. Okay. Down to 60, there was one other level, I think, before that, if I remember correctly. Let's go look. We hit this one on Friday, and this is, so there's a couple of, garbages over here. 2820, this is really the level, the daily level of this thing. We're not going through that level. There's no way. Not without the pullback. And eventually we will get, back to the all-time highs and stuff like that, but not without the pullback first. So, can we get through up into here, this 2820s, this target area? Sure. Wait till we get to tomorrow's trading session. We'll figure out, what the story is, but expect some massive selling to kick in this week. Okay. Let's look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ did make a new all-time high Thursday on the close and again on Friday, right? Small little pullback from the intraday highs, but still closing pretty strong, right? And again, because of what's going on this week, we're looking for weakness to kick in. The NASDAQ is not the one you'd rather short. Much rather short the ES right now because obviously it's been weaker, has never gotten near the all-time highs, right? So going back to the daily, NASDAQ would probably pull back to this back test area, around 7260, just the back test of the breakout of the prior highs, something like that as far as the target for the downside. And I expect to pull back, right? The last time we made, all-time highs, We had a really nice pullback. You could see it over here. Again, notice it was 2 weeks ago, right? So first 2 weeks of the month, right? Look at the last 2 weeks of the month before that. So we're talking about the next 2 weeks is down, back again, because the Fed has been selling off their, assets, mostly in the back 2 weeks of the month, which is starting tomorrow. So get ready, right? So we're looking for a pullback coming into, NASDAQ under here has got a nice pocket of air. So again, I'll be shorting the S before I short the NASDAQ, okay? But targets are pretty much the same. That pullback over here into the first level of demand for the NASDAQ, and that ES is the bottom of the channel, okay? That's what we're looking at so far. Let's take a look at crude, okay? So crude last week worked out pretty well for us, right? We called the shorts on Sunday, and I'm going to call for the continuation this week. Okay? We're looking at a drop base over here. I think there's one more drop still coming over here. This little lower high that's being formed over here on Friday with a massive rejection of the big breakout. Right? We had a nice pop in the morning, and then we just almost retraced the entire amount. You could see on the daily, the demand we didn't really touch. What we touched was the top part of the zone, and we bounced a little bit over here, and then, obviously the zone is still lower down a little bit. So we're looking for something to, to come in somewhere under here someplace. Okay. So I'm looking at, we'll look at demand. I think the level is probably around 67-ish as we go down into the 60. I'll show you where the demand is sitting at. But I think we're going to see one more big leg down before we get a pop off of crude. So right here is the 60 chart. And we can see the breakdown, the big sell-off that we traded last week. And then we had this nice little bounce. We had this little level over here of supply that sort of based out a little bit. And then we popped. We tried to do this beginning of this V, and we totally failed over here. Big fail. And we're back. We closed over here, right? What's going to happen over the next couple of hours? Probably a little something like this. And eventually tomorrow, we're going through this thing. Okay, and I'm going to just scroll down and show you where I think the levels are sitting at. Targets on the way down. Yeah, it's around 68. So it's right around down into this thing, which is that, the next level of that daily level that I was pointing out, somewhere down here. So look for shorts right now. We don't really have a supply zone here on the 60 after this, but I think there is one on the 15. We'll go look, and basically a breakdown, another $2 to the downside we're looking at, a little more, 250. So another big drop for crude. Okay. Here's our 60. There's our 15 level. So that was a supply zone that got taken out on Friday. You could see where it was. It was this thing over here, and then we popped up a little higher into this. And there's some demand. Let's see what's underneath us. There we go. So there's this level. Should it ever get up here, which I highly doubt we're going to see this one. Okay, we're not. I don't think we're going to get there. We'll probably do a little bit more back testing somewhere inside this area, potentially touch the 7140 again, but we're going through the bottom. 68 is next on tap. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, and question from George. Yes, George.
Joe, on the 60 crude, you don't see a supply zone there a little higher?
Say again?
On the 60-minute crude?
60, let's take a look. Let me see what you're looking at. Hold on. Let's move this
I'm sorry,
over.
demand zone, not supply. I meant demand.
You have demand underneath us. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I've got 68 and change, I think it's 68 and change. So let's see what you're looking at.
I agree with that. I was looking a little bit higher, just below the 70.
I'll take a look. Just below 70. This thing over here.
Yes.
70, the low 70. What are you looking at? I don't see.
Well,
I see 70, 50, which we've sort of hit already, right? Made lower highs, this thing. So I think that we've traded through this zone. So where's the other zone you're looking at? Right, if I draw this zone and I go back to current price, you'll see that we've traded through this area already. Right here.
yeah, okay. It didn't look like we had. Okay,
So
I went a little lower there on right where your mouse was.
I'll go back. I don't see what you're drawing after that. I'm not sure what you drew. Here's the zone. What are you looking at?
Okay, I went to the right just a little bit.
To the right just a little. You went higher
right
up.
there. No.
Okay, but that's been traded through also. I mean, whatever you went through over here at 70, we traded under 70 already. So where's the demand? There's no demand.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Next, leak. Yes. What's up, brother?
Hey Joe, how are you?
Good. What's going
on? Can you look at 69.55, 69.23? I don't know if that's what Joe was referring to, but I mean, price
not at this
like there, right?
Just looking over this little thing over here, whatever this is, this thing.
Because it's weak against the wall, and if you go back and you look at left, you've got the prior high back in.
I see that, but if you're calling this area, let's say wicks against the wall over here, I got you. I understand it, but we're still making these lower highs coming back to the zone, right?
So it's going to break.
It's not something I would expect. Yeah, I don't think it's going to do anything. The bounce that we got over here, that we did over here, is like $2.50 or whatever, $1.50, was off the demand that was behind us, really. I don't think there's anything left over here. I doubt it's going to hold. It may bounce in there a little bit. It's not something I would expect to buy. If I'm looking for a short target, it's fresh demand. It's not this garbage. Looking down here for your target. You want to be short.
Would you consider that zone and then price basically going back up a bit into a newly created supply and then shorts it from there?
Yeah, that's possible. If you want to say like you're going to hit this thing and then I'm going to, there may be some supply formed over here someplace and then take the short. Yeah, it's fine. I have no problem. This level's not going to do anything other than a little pause, a little small balance. It's not turning price around. It ain't happening.
No, I was not thinking turning price around. I was thinking more bouncing from there, making
you want to use this to get into a short. I have no problem with that. I agree. No problem. Go for it. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Next. All right, let's go on. And that was crude. So look at the shorts so far. Short equity, short crude, gold, long, finally. I hope. So take a look. It doesn't look that great over here on the weekly chart, right? It's sort of an engulfing bearish candle. The 200 average is right there, and it's sitting on it. And it's looking like, this is trying to hold this little double bottom over here. The reason I think it's actually going to hold is because what I'm going to show you now in what's going on in the dollar. Because from this chart alone, this don't look that great. But when you couple it with what's supposed to happen this week coming up now and what I'm looking at with the dollar chart, I'm fairly certain we're going to see a nice double bottom here and a pop back all the way back to like 1270 something over here. All right, it started already on Friday. Okay, I put out the tweet with the big rejection of the lows. I'm going to show it to you now. And then we were starting that nice little V-bottom reversal, and then we just flagged out pretty much the rest of the day, but without ever falling back again. So here's our 60. No argument, it's in a downtrend. 100% agree with you. But, this low down here at 1230 something, whatever it was, massive rejection with the engulfing candle. And then we just went into this flagging pattern most of the day. We made the higher low, and then we just chop, which we're chewing through. We're going to see this little leg out. There's no more supply over here. This is all garbage. The next level of anything is 1250 above 1250. So there's a $10 move at least over here, and I think that's going to be enough to get us going, because when I show you what the dollar looks like, it's going to help the price of gold tremendously this week. So I'm looking for longs in gold, and I think we're looking at a potential of 1270 by the end of the week, at least 50 something for sure. But 1270 is definitely doable. Gold is due for a wicked back test on this downtrend that's had over a while. So I'm looking at this is what's sort of I see the beginning of a head and shoulders forming over here, looking for the next piece to come and put the dollar all the way back down here. When you look at this 240 chart, so yeah, you had a little stair-step action over here, but this is a very big rejection right here. This thing that happened on Friday, and it's right back to this level. And if this level cracks, which I believe it's going to, we have a big pocket of air. This thing starts selling off over here. We're back here, and then it's only a matter of time before we break this thing. Because that's going to start to, you put another big red candle over here, everyone's going to see this head and shoulders on the chart. And this is going to cause some massive selling over here, especially after the run that it's had. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see weakness coming into the dollar, and that is actually going to propel the price of gold. All right? And when we start to look at some of the other currencies, you'll see that that's actually what they're sort of telling you, that the dollar is ready to give its pullback here, and the other currencies are getting ready to pop. So that's leaning to my bias on the long side. Gold, even though the chart doesn't look that great yet, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a nice move up. Take a look at the euro. Okay, the euro over here has obviously had a little bit of a lower high, but now we've got this big dragonfly candle on the daily chart. And we came into this demand under here on the 240, and we just rejected all of that. And we've already broken through this garbage that's here. What's over here? Oh yeah, nothing. Okay, this is total air, all the way back to 18 and change. There's a huge move over here. There's 150 ticks sitting over here waiting to just happen. Straight back over here, this is going to turn into another higher low, which means it's going to make a higher high, which puts us over here. We're talking about all the way back to 120, and it's going to happen fast because the dollar is going to accelerate down, the euro is going to pop. Okay, that's what we're looking at over here. Take a look on the smaller time frame. Look at the air. Okay, we've already did the V retracement. And whatever this nonsense was on Friday, early, gets totally wiped out. We come right back here, and it's just air. There's nothing here. A small little pause right here, so we'll get maybe a little back test. And then another pocket of air over here. And then we're all the way back to the top, because again, another pocket of air over here. So this is going to happen rapidly. Okay? And the dollar, underneath, I just show you the 240 zone. There's nothing there under it. So the dollar is going to collapse. The euro is going to explode. That's what we're looking at. So longs all the way. There's a very pretty doji right here. You see it? Wrap the doji on the 60 chart. There probably will be one more zone somewhere over here if we're going to base a little bit over here before we pop this thing, and then we hit the supply. So you can use that, maybe some kind of back test like this, but start looking long. Buy the pullbacks in euro. We're talking about 1.2 before I have to worry about really anything. So there's a really massive move coming. I think it's going to start this week. So we're looking long euros, long gold, and a short equity, short crude so far. Okay. Go look at the 15 on euro. There we go. Some demand here, some demand here. We're right at the top of this thing. You can see it, right? So next higher low after we get up there is where you want to join the longs as far as the V-bottom is concerned. Okay. All righty. It's euro. Feel free to ask as I move my way through. That gas, if you're still in it, stay in it. I told you what we were expecting. It's working out perfection so far. We had gotten into the demand level that was under here. We got the twins back there, and then I told you to watch the short. Starting from right here, there it was, boom, boom, there's the new low, and we're off. So the target at least over here, at least. We'll probably get a small bounce over there, some fresh demand, and then another low after that. I think we're going to keep challenging down. Looks to me that this is the continued breakout I was talking about in the trading session. All right, the flag breakout over here, right, that's going on in the weekly chart. We're starting to break down. So we're talking about something like 2.5, stay in the trade, don't get out, okay? So if you're still in it, good for you, okay? Take a look here, continued shorts and, any rallies into supply are decent shorts. There's some nice zones starting to form over here. There's one here on the 60 over there, and there's one over here on the 15 I'll show you that looks okay to join the shorts as well, right here. In this thing, nice little tight little doji thingy. You could tighten this up a little if you wanted to, right here. So one of these two zones, again, valid. Watch that gas, obviously, on the Sunday night gap situation. It likes to gap. All right, so watch the supply zones. and continue the shorts. So rally into supplies are shorts this week for nat gas. Minimum of 2.7, and then we'll see what happens down there. Okay. So the yen, I think we're going to see a pretty good bounce this week out of the yen. We had a very ugly week last week, and we've hit the bottom of some strong resistance areas. I don't call them so much demand, but definitely a resistance thing going on over here, where we're inside the wedge, okay, over here, and right the bottom, and it should start to bounce a little bit. So I'm thinking we're probably going to see a pretty good bounce back over here, maybe a test of the breakout area of where this little bottom thing pattern was over here. So we have potential for a pretty good move here, especially if we get the dollar move that I'm talking about. Okay. So and obviously gold and yen usually move in the same direction lately, so that's the same story. Right. We're looking over here on the Friday's bounce. It started to retrace, so this one will probably give you a better chance in. Maybe a pullback into something over here after we get to some of these demand supply zones. I'm sorry, right over here, something like this little doji candle in here. Just try to join. We want to catch at least this nice little air pocket over here. It's again V-bottom stuff, but it's going to start these big reversals. So I know the trend is down, but again, it's looking to me that we're starting to do the this kind of stuff. That's what should be coming this week. So if you want to wait, to clear out some of the zones, I got it. But think long over here. Okay. All right, that's our yen story. Take a look at the Aussie dollar, which has already started rallying. And what it did on Thursday and Friday is confirming what I expect. We've put in the higher low right here on the daily chart after the sell-off from the supply, and now we should be coming back to the zone and through, right back to here. Okay, that's where we're going. So we're looking at this gap being filled first, for sure. Pretty sure that's what we're looking at now. And then a small pause, and then the next push up. Right? The gap is sitting over here. It's basically this part of the supply. So we should see something like this. This, and then up through the air. Okay? So long into the gap. If you can get into the trade before the gap, after the gap, expect a little pullback, or in the gap, expect a pullback from there. Use that pullback to get long, because we're talking about 75, 76, something like that. Take a look here. Okay, there's a little supply. You can see the higher low that's formed over here. All right, and there's our higher low. All right, and we're back to the supply again, and there's our gap. So push up like this. There'll be a demand zone over here. It's a rally-based rally, and use that to take the next piece of the trade. Okay. That's what we're looking at on Aussie dollar. Pounds. Okay, what do we have? So we could see that Friday turned into a very, very strong rejection of the lows and a big bounce. Take a look back here, right? It's a higher low on the daily. We turned into a big dragonfly. We should see a continuation. You can see over here on the 240 that we pretty much just tagged the trend line that we had going on over there after we've hit our demand, which was back here, right? And now we should see something like this, a higher low and then the break. Okay? There's air. There's nothing here. We go through this area. Look at the daily. So we're talking about somewhere all the way back to this thing. Pretty big move for pounds coming also. So, all the charts of the currencies are pointing to these massive moves, which leads me to believe that the dollar's up the freaking creek this week. Okay? So there is the pounds from Friday's V reversal, right, that went on over here, and that's telling us that the way to trade this thing, right, is when we get back to the top, expect a pullback, probably to somewhere what happened over here. This was actually an old demand zone. I have to move it right now. Let's fix that. Okay. The level seems to be right over here with doji, so it's pretty close to where we are in the 60. On the 15, maybe we'll find something a little lower down. I'd actually like to probably see if there's something over here that makes more sense. Where we have this on the other side, I think that's probably a better zone to trade. Something over here should be somewhere over here. Let me see. take a look. Here's our 15 chart. So yeah, okay, that makes a little more sense. This is the first one I was just drawing out over there on the 60s, or a little bit close. Looks okay. This one is the one that's got this. That's what I was looking for, right? This thing. This. It's got this over here. And this one looks like a lot better. 3.2, if it can get there. So 70-something takes away. I don't know if it's going to get there, but we'll watch the first zone. If it does break, this one looks pretty good. Again, we're looking at a, V reversal situation going back all the way through the air on the 60. So pretty big moves coming this week in all the currencies. Long pounds. So it's okay so far with short equities, short crude, long gold, long euro, short nat gas, yen long, Aussie long, pound long, and we're going to just keep doing Canadian now. There's the higher low forming on the daily chart again. You can see it. It's doing the same thing. Right over here, we pushed up, pulled back. Now we're doing this. We should break out of this wedge. Look at all the air over here. This wick back here cleaned out all the mess from, up here. And what we're looking at now is just, you can see we came right back to the supply. We have higher lows. This thing shouldn't hold anymore. We should go through that. And there isn't really anything in the way. So there's long Canadian. That's what we're looking at. There's our 60 chart. I left one zone up there just because, again, this was that news candle that we had last week for Canadian. I was cutting it off and just leaving the zone where it was. It usually happens at the first time. There should be some reaction out of this area, but you can see clearly, I don't know, I'll tell you, if there's the higher low, we're back to the supply and letting it hold the air. Simple. Long Canadian. Okay. Everything's showing reversal. Everything. All pointing in the same direction. The dollar is screwed this week. That's what it's about. Okay? Who's got a question? Malik. Yes. What's up, man?
What's up? When you have a week like that, due to a news event, do you systematically ignore it as if it does not exist?
That's right. I just cut it off. Ignore it. Ignore it and draw the zone. Usually what will happen is the first time you come back to that zone that's you're cutting through this wick, the zone will work.
Okay.
So we'll stick, but it's a target for now on the way up. That's what.
So is that one of your general rule? Whenever you have like news event, big wick, just ignore it and just draw the zone as if it don't exist. Okay.
Another zone like the wick is not there. Absolutely true. So it's a news event. You're allowed to do that. Okay?
Got it. Super. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, and here we go. And let's go back to what do we have left? Copper. What are we looking at on the copper chart? So, pretty ugly selling going on last week. This is really dependent on Chinese news, which is actually coming out this week as well. They're giving us, I think, their GDP this week. You better check your calendar. I'm not sure what day, but you can be guaranteed that this will be moving around based on what we get. So, economy in China is good. Copper price will go up. Economy is bad. Copper price will fall. Well, I don't know. How much more can it fall? Take a look. We've even destroyed this price for the last 5 weeks now in a row. Big moves down. We've come into some demand. We started to holding a little bit, Can we do a little back test over here? Absolutely. Is it likely? Probably, based on what we've seen, but it's really dependent on the news. I don't know what it's going to say. I have no clue. The chart is still like wedging out over here. You can see this, right? And we've been chopping around over here. If we, still have fresh supply, is it really ready to break out? I'm more likely to say, let's take the shorts up here in supply. But as we pop, because again the trend is still down, and China's the wild card for this week. No clue what they're going to say. If they come out with something strong with economic news, this thing will start to retrace that wicked weekly sell-off so fast. We could very easily have a monster candle back testing us to this breakout area over here. All the way back to this thing. This is very expensive, so be careful this week with copper. Let's get that news out of the way before we really make any calls. Okay? All right. that's copper there. We looked at a couple of levels. We know what's going on. Let's take a look at soy, which had the USDA report last week and was not enough in there to get this thing to hold itself, and therefore we've broken through and closed below the weekly demand, which means we're on tap for continued selling. This thing is not over yet. And when the grain things like this start, they last. This is not good. This is a breakaway from a long-term bottom over here. Look back here. 2015 lows were underneath. We've closed below there. The next level down is another 100 points down or 70 points down, something crazy. So soy is up the freaking creek. Just get short. Sell supply. Okay? You can see over here the last, how many green candles over the last 3 weeks? I mean, nothing. What the hell's going on over here, right? Garbage. Everything that gets, let it bounce is getting sold off. So any rallies are shorts until like 780 something, I think is the next level down. Oops. 50 or more. So big moves coming. Okay, there's our 240 chart. There's nothing here, right? It's just supply is sitting a little higher up. I think for the 60 we have something a little closer we can use to get short, but short only over here. Yep. It's just a continued trend. We had that gap like maybe 2 weeks ago now, and since then it's just disaster. Just tap, 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 and you could see that even every rally is barely getting back to where it started, and they're just pulling down. And so if you hit a supply zone, pull the trigger short. Okay. So that's a short, and the bonds are a long this week. Take a look over here on the weekly chart. We've turned the corner over here. We're pressing back against these highs, and we should be back into this supply zone pretty soon. Supply zone. This is a bull flag that's going on the daily chart. We finally get on the little, little microscope in here. The nice little flip around, the turnaround. You can see it over here on the 240. We're back up to the air. Can you see it? Got higher lows underneath me. Demand is sitting there, support. We're going to pop and push ourselves back into this 148 plus level. Its interest rates are probably going down a little bit. So it's likely to mean that the market's not going to do that great this week. All right. We'll see what happens. Bonds are looking like they're going to pop. So I wonder what Powell's going to say. Obviously, that's going to cause some volatility in the market this week. I think he's speaking, I'm not sure. It might be Tuesday. To check. But watch out for the long bonds. I think the move up into 148.49 area starts this week. All right, so that's what we've got so far. If anyone has any questions, please feel free. A quick recap. So it's equity long, crude short, gold long, dollar short, euro long, nat gas short, JY long, Aussie long, pound long, Canadian long, copper. We said we had to wait out and see what happens with China. Soys are short, and the bonds are long. Hope you guys have a safe trading week. I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Somebody has a question? Yes, Louis. Yeah. George, okay,
Go ahead. Sorry, can you show again your soybean 60 chart? I'm just trying to understand the zones from which you would want, you would advise the short.
Right there. Take a look.
So
there's one here.
The one at 864.48. Okay.
This is like wicks against the wall, but I just drew. I just.
But you have a bit of a gap right above, right?
Yeah, the gap is on the. I have the gap drawn on the smaller time frame still.
Okay. Because I wanted to find out why you were ignoring the gap.
I don't want to draw it.
Sorry, Joe, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, no, I said I have it on a small time frame chart. I don't want to draw it 100 times because I'm going to get the alert so many times,
Oh, okay.
Okay. George, next. Yes, George.
Hey, Joe, on ES last Wednesday during live trading, we got stepped out on the first entry, but we got, I'm wondering what the entry was on the second one. It's about 10 o'clock session time.
Let's go back and see if I can figure out what we were looking at. Wednesday.
It was a lower high on the two, but I'm wondering
yes, it was a lower high. Yes. So Wednesday was, what was the date? Let's take a look.
The 11th.
The 11th. Okay, so we're looking at something over here. Yeah. Let me go back into a smaller time frame. I don't remember. And what's the question? What's the question about it?
The question was what the entry was for that the second time.
What was the trigger, you say?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, fine. So that I remember. It's actually a lower high on the chart. I remember pulling the trigger when I saw it. Let me just see the date. We're looking at the 11th. It was somewhere over here. Let's zoom in. It's right here.
10 o'clock.
Yep, right over here someplace. Give me a second. Yes. Would be, let's see, 10 o'clock, 9:30. 9:30. This is a 5-minute chart on the 11th. I remember that trade. It was doing pretty well, right? Somewhere over here.
So 11 o'clock your time.
Yes, yeah. We were watching it on the 2. Remember this push up over here. I think we had taken originally one short over here. We got stopped out. And then I was waiting for this to give me this lower high over here. And it came out on the 2, and I'm pretty sure it was like an engulfing candle, if I remember correctly. We'll go there and take a look at the 2-minute chart. We were watching it together. It should have been in the recording, I'm sure, of the session. But let's go back and take a look. Okay, so it was on the 11th, which was back behind us still. I got to get a little more data over here. Give me a second. Okay, and the 11th is here. It was over here someplace. Right here. All right, that's the 11th. This is the 10th, so this is the 11th. No, that's still the 10th. Here it is. Okay, so now we had a gap in this area, right? And we were back testing into the gap. It was like over here, if I'm not mistaken, someplace. Let's see where it was. This is the overnight area. We had the supply zone that was up over here, and we took the trade after it got back and filled the gap, and then failed. Right? It's right over here. This is the trade. This was the trade right here. I took it short, pretty short, right after this candle. The red one, right? That's 10 o'clock exactly. That's the trade. Okay? So there was a supply zone, if you remember correctly. You can go watch it and look on the 60. We had a supply zone sitting over here. And we, I think, took the first short somewhere like back over here someplace. This one, I think, right over here. And then we got stopped out of this move up over here, and then we were just waiting for the next lower high to form again because I was looking for the sell-off to begin into the equities, and this was the entry. The entry was simple. It was a big push up into the top. I know the supply was here, and we were inside the supply. I think this actually candle might have pierced the supply slightly, and then it sold off, and then it popped up, and then after the red candle right here closed, showing me that this was a lower high starting right here, I got short right there and put my stop just above the candle here. Pretty sure that's what it was. Actually, we can double check it.
That sounds logical, Joe, but I was wondering what the entry was.
I'm pretty sure that's what we did. Right, that's what it was. I'm just going to make sure that that's what I did because I don't want to tell you something that's not accurate. So let's turn it on and let's take a look. I'm almost positive because I remember that happening. Let's just make sure that I'm in the right place. Filled orders here, display. Click OK. See, there it is. That was the trade. It's right over here at the candle close. That's where it was. T1 came off, and then T2 was all the way down here. That's what it was. That was the trade. The supply zone on the higher time frame was hit, and then we sold off on the little time frame. We put in the lower high. I went short right there. Put the stop on top. Okay?
All right, appreciate it, Joe. Thank you.
You got it, man. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you on Wednesday. Ciao.